Hello everybody, and welcome to the wonderful world of haircutting. By now you've practiced working with combs and scissors in your hand and having multiple tools and things like that, but today you're going to actually go into your very first haircut. Before we actually get into our first haircut though, we want to review with you a couple of things that are very, very important to your careers, and especially as hair cutters. When we talk about the laws of haircutting, which I'm going to explain to you now, they will stay with you and they will be your guide for creating all the haircuts that you will do in your future career. So we're going to go into the 5 different laws of haircutting for you so that you have a clear understanding of the laws of haircutting, and I want you to remember them always because that will help you in designing the awesome looks that you see out there today in haircutting. So the first law of haircutting is vertical sectioning in haircutting creates a softer, lighter, more moving haircut. So if we're talking about a soft moving haircut, we're trying to achieve that. We're going to use vertical sectioning as opposed to horizontal sectioning. In turn, the next thing that you will be discussing, or the next rule or law of haircutting, is that horizontal sectioning in haircutting creates a heavier, stronger, less moving haircut. So it's bulkier and heavier. The third rule of the laws of haircutting is diagonal sectioning in haircutting creates movement in a haircut. So if I want to move hair one way or another in a haircut, I choose diagonal sectioning versus the vertical or horizontal. Another law of haircutting is short hair pushes and supports long hair. So in a haircut, if I want to push hair forward, I create the shortness towards the back. If I want to push hair back, I create shortness in the front. Also, when we used to spike hair or want to make hair stand up, long hairs, we would create short lengths in the middle or behind them so they would support the longer lengths when we used to do spiky hair. And then last but not least is shifting creates distance, which creates length. And what we mean by that is by taking our hair and shifting it in one direction, that forces the hair to travel farther distance, and that means when we shift hair, we're creating distance in the hair lengths, which creates length. So if we're going to shift in our haircuts, we want to shift towards the shorter area, which will force the areas that we want longer towards that area to create more length in the haircut. And you have to understand that haircutting is basically moving or creating short areas and long areas. And that's how we do with, that's what creates our haircuts and our creations. Now the haircuts that you're going to be taking through our haircutting are our Capri classic haircuts. They are all the basic haircuts that are built or will build all the creative haircuts that you're going to have or be doing on clients in the future. So those are the laws of haircutting. You need to know them, you need to memorize them, so they will assist you when you're going through your consultations with your clients to be able to truly plan a haircut in the 5 minutes we have when we have a client sitting in our chair and we're doing a consultation with them. The next thing we want to discuss with you is we want to discuss with you the very first type of haircuts that we're going to be doing with you. And the first couple of haircuts that we're going to be doing are called one-length haircuts. There are only 3 ways of cutting hair. There's one-length haircutting, there's graduated haircutting, and there's layered haircutting. So if you think about all the different designs you see out there, one-length, graduation, and layers are how they are created. But it's how you create them and where you put them on a head that determines the beauty or not beauty in that haircut. When you talk about one-length haircuts, we want you to focus in on those for the next couple of days, and we want to make sure that you understand one-length haircutting. One-length haircuts are the heaviest haircuts of all. They build up the most weight in a haircut. So they build up the most weight, so they're heavy haircuts. You're not a lot you can do with them when they're heavy, but if the client wants a heavy haircut, that's what you want to do for them, one length. The next thing you want to make sure is you understand it creates a solid non-activated surface appearance on straight hair. And the reason why we say straight hair is because if this hair was curly, it would already be activated. And when we say activated, we mean textured or not smooth and shiny. But on straight hair, one-length haircuts, all of the hair comes down to the one length and it looks and creates a shiny, smooth surface. When you talk about non-activated smooth surface reflects light to appear shiny and healthy, when you talk about that, a non-activated, smooth, shiny haircut, that's what One Length creates for you. And last but not least, the interior, which is above the widest part of the head, and the exterior design lines are the same in this One Length haircut. So whenever you're doing a One Length haircut, it is the exterior and interior designs, which are many times in haircuts two different things, are the same in a One Length haircut. How do we create a One Length haircut? Well, it's very simple. We're gonna make sure that the One Length haircut, we're gonna not pull on the hair, tension, no tension. We're not going to over direct or shift the hair, and we're not going to project, which means lifting the hair away. We're going to keep it as close to that person's body as we possibly can. So that's what you should know about One Length hair cutting. It is an introduction to hair cutting. We're going to focus in on this sort of stuff as we do this haircut for you. And what we're going to do now is I'm going to put on the board for you the One Length horizontal haircut that we are doing for you today. And this is the way in which we're going to do this haircut. We're going to do 4 subsections in this haircut. We're going to start with 4 basic sections, and we are going to take this haircut starting in the nape area and create a horizontal line, which sounds really, really easy, doesn't it? Nice horizontal line should be very simple to do, but what you forget is that this item, this head we're using to work on, which is a human head, is not a straight line. It is rounded. So when I go to try and put a straight line on a rounded item or head, we're going to have the hair want to curve upward in the front. So we have to make sure we go and overcome the roundness of the head, and we're going to explain that to you while we do this haircut. So to get started from our haircut, One Length horizontal line, we're going to start off with, as we start all of our classic haircuts, with the 4 basic sections. What I'm going to do is I'm going to move to the board now, and I'm going to give you the 3 basic rules of sectioning hair. Sectioning hair is just as important as that scissor stroke that we taught you already, and that is to have a working blade and a stationary blade. That is the home position, and that is important, but also the way in which we comb hair and section hair are key elements for you being a great hair cutter. Okay, so the way in which we take or do subsections or sectioning in a haircut is just as important as your scissor stroke. And we're going to show you the 3 steps to sectioning hair. Step 1, comb hair in the direction of the part. Step 2, sketch the part with large tooth of the comb. Right there. Step 3, touch, pinch, and separate. Now, I'm going to actually be doing that for you right now, and what we're going to do is I'm going to explain it before I go into the mannequin because you won't be able to see me do it. When we talk about the hair, we're going to comb it in the direction of the parting that we're doing. We're going to place our hand underneath where the part is going to end, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to then sketch as if this is a pen, sketch on the scalp with the comb, and then I'm going to come to my opposite hand. So if I'm a righty, it'll come to my left hand. If you're a lefty, it'll come to your right hand. And what you're going to do is you're going to comb the hair in the direction of the part. You're going to sketch that part. You're going to touch your comb, your finger, your pointer finger, and you're going to pinch and separate the hair from the comb. And you're going to pinch off the top of that comb by riding the thumb of your comb on the backbone of the comb and riding your pointer finger up to the corner of that comb. Okay, so let's put the sectioning procedure into action. What we're going to do is I'm going to do 4 basic sections for you. I'm going to go from the center of the nose to the center of the nape. And the idea of doing sectioning like we explained to you is this is the quickest, most effective way of creating a straight parting in the shortest amount of time. Time is money in our business, people, and if we can do a haircut faster, we can make more money. So I'm going to tilt the mannequin back towards me, and I'm going to, again, comb the hair in the direction of the part, which is step 1. Step 2, I'm going to sketch with the large tooth of my comb at the center of the nose, and I'm going to come to this crown area, and now I'm going to continue downward. Notice my opposite hand is right where the parting is going to leave the head, touch, pinch, and separate, just like we talked to you about. Now, when I go to do my comb like this, I go this way, not this way, because if I accidentally catch hair on the other side, I'm going to mess up my parting. So when I take this hair and separate, I am separating it with the comb this way. Now, we're going to take the same hair and we're going to now take our side parting. And this is something that you will learn in the future. There are multiple areas of where, depending on the haircut, you take your side section. 1, the side sections in our 4 basic partings will always be at the highest point of the head. 2, you could see I'm going to comb the hair in the direction of the part. I'm going to sketch, touch, pinch, and separate. Now, just as I did that, I want to explain this to you very, very quickly and very effectively, is the 3 different areas of where we take sections. Now, in the 4 basic sections, you see I've taken the hair parting, the side parting, just behind the ear. And I do that with all haircuts that I'm going to have the same design going from the front to the back, meaning the same line I'm going to be cutting. If I were to be cutting a change in design, meaning I'm going to do a horizontal in the back and a diagonal something in the front or downward or whatever, I would then go to the center of the ear. And the reason why is the center of the ear would make it more appealing in our hair cutting if we were changing our design from front to back. And last but not least, let me just get this clipped up for you. Last but not least is when we talk about doing a haircut on a man or a woman coming up and around the ear, we would take our side parting still from the very highest point of the head to where the ear meets the face. And the reason being is someone who wears their hair around their ear, we're going to have to cut downward because of whether it be a man or a woman, they want it longer in the front of their ear. And then when we get to that point where the ear meets the face, we have to turn our scissors and actually come the opposite way, downward this way. So it's down, and that's the highest point where the ear meets the face. So those are the 3 sections that we're going to do. I'm going to just take this and pin it up for you, and we're going to get started with this haircut. Come in over the side, going to do the same thing I did on that side. We're going to separate it just behind the ear. Take 2 seconds to do that. And as you can see, when you talk about doing a 4 basic sections, well, it's not going to be this fast when you first start. However, we want you to become this fast when you are doing your 4 basic sections. So the only way you're going to get fast and very effective at that is practice, practice, practice. So when we make you do 4 sections over and over and over again, it is for your benefit so that you can understand that the idea of doing this haircut in 4 basic sections and doing them fast and effectively is a key element to being successful. Okay, so the first subsection that we're going to do for this horizontal 1-length haircut is we're going to take it from the occipital bone to the bottom of the ear. We're going to do that on both sides. We're going to take our subsection down. We're going to follow our procedures, comb the hair in the direction of the part, have your hand, opposite hand, ready where you're going to exit, and we're going to go from the occipital bone to the bottom of the ear. And you might say, well, why are we doing that? Well, one of the things that you want to understand is that when we're doing these type of haircuts, I mentioned earlier about having to be opposite or opposing the shape of the head. And that's imperative to do because we are going to have to get this haircut downward to oppose the curvature of the head. So you might say, well, we teach you to cut parallel to your parting. Well, we are going to overcome the roundness of the head by coming slightly downward with our parting. So from the occipital bone to the bottom of the ear is what we want you to do to overcome the roundness of the head. And when we do this, you have to understand that the idea of doing this haircut horizontally and being able to make sure that it's a horizontal line, in actuality, the haircut has to be a square, meaning it has to have a corner behind each ear. And I'm going to show you how to do that at this point. So we're going to take this center section, move this hair out of our way, bring the hair down at one length horizontally, and we're going to take it about an inch or two below the white base of our mannequin. So we're taking it horizontally, and we're going to just take about that much hair off. Now, you might want to save the hair on the mannequins at this point in time, and I'm telling you not to, because we want to make sure that this haircut is something that you could see the results as you do it. So you saw me, I just took a small piece of the other side, and if you notice, I'm going to continue this line all the way out there. Notice where my fingertips are pointing. Make sure you don't point your fingertips towards the front of this mannequin, because what will happen is that's when we're going to wind up with a rounded haircut. Now, super important, when I get done with this, I want to make sure we're even, because this is the basis for the rest of my haircut. So this has to be straight and correct before moving on. My next subsection is from the widest part of the ear to the top, the widest part of the head, okay, to the center of the ear. And again, the idea is from the widest part of the head to the center of the ear, I'm going to wind up with some more hair coming down. I should be able to see my guideline. And then we're going to continue that slight curvature down. So again, the widest part of the head to the center of the ear. There we go. Clip that hair up and out of the way so you could see your subsection. So nice and clean. And what we're going to do now is we're going to take this hair, split it down the middle. Now you say, why are we splitting it down the middle? Why are we showing you that? Well, to do this, by putting a vertical line in this haircut, it'll tell you as a hair cutter if you're accidentally pulling the hair too far to that side, or if you're accidentally pulling it out to here, because if you're doing that, you're over-directing or shifting, and that will create graduation, not one length. And we want it to be as one length as we possibly can in this haircut. So by setting up my hands so that I could see these as little lines, the hair strands are little lines, and they're straight vertical with that subsection in the back, this will give us the opportunity to do a nice, true one-length haircut. We are going to continue the line, and now as I come out towards the ear here, one of the things I'm going to point out is that I'm actually cheating on this haircut. And it's okay to cheat because no one will ever know you did it. But I'm not going to follow round the head. I'm going to be pulling this back behind the ear to create the corner we have to achieve on this haircut. I'm going to take another small section from the other side, although I don't have to, because as you could see, underneath is my guideline, and I should be able to see that, so I really don't need the other side anymore. Here I'm going to come again behind the ear, bring the hair straight down. Notice how close to the mannequin I'm working, and again, coming in and cutting that horizontal line, keeping my fingertips pointing that way, not that way. So very important part of this haircut. The next haircut sections that we're going to do is we're actually going to incorporate the side of this mannequin into the back. So we are going to need one less clip at this point in time. And on our third haircut, our third subsection here, what we're going to do is we're going to take it from the bottom of the crown. Now, when I say the bottom of the crown, the spiral area on every person, their hair grows out in a spiral, is the center of the crown. Where we took our 4 basic sections, we consider that the front of the crown, or the highest point of the head. And then, of course, here, where we go below the spiral here, is the bottom of the crown. So we're going to take this, we're going to comb the hair in the direction of the part. We're going to go from the bottom of the crown to the temple area. And the temple area is right where the point of the sideburn is, or right where the widest point of the front of the head is. And that's where we're going to take that subsection. So again, using the procedure we taught you at the very beginning, where the person, we have to take our subsections by combing the hair in the direction of the part, sketch the part, and separate. What you see me doing here is I'm going to still separate my side section from my back section. And that is because this side section is going to be cut separately after I cut my back. So we always want to make sure our sides are cut in a different manner, and I'll explain that as I go along. Taking the center section like we mentioned earlier, making sure that the hair, we have the vertical section, which is our guide to make sure that the hair comes down, keeping that nice and vertical on that line, finding our guideline. Here's a little thing about finding your guideline. 1, comb the hair down. When you use your comb, comb the hair by using the comb as an extension of your arm. So, when you talk about the comb being used, we don't use our comb like this, which makes a T or an L shape. We want to have the comb in the palm of our hand, our thumb on the backbone of the comb, and our pointer finger on top of the comb. And what we're going to do is we're going to start by combing the hair. You see the teeth are facing the top of the head. We're going to come down. We're going to come into our guideline. When our guideline disappears in our hair, our comb, we're going to then be able to see our guideline. So again, watch very closely. Comb the hair, bring it behind the ear, straight back. Stop when you see the guideline disappear in the backbone of the comb, and you're ready to cut. So again, comb down, turn the comb. As you turn the comb, put your finger right behind the backbone of the comb. The comb dictates where your line is going to be, and make sure you're behind that ear and cut accordingly. So that's my side there. I'm going to continue on this side, taking this section down. Again, keeping that vertical section, bringing this down, following my guide. There's my comb. There it disappears. Stop right there, follow, and cut. Continue by not taking the sides into here. Pull this back, down. Again, watch your comb, teeth up, turn, follow, down, keep the fingertips pointing out to the side, and cut. So now we're pretty much done with the back of that. I'm going to just mist her down a little bit. She's getting a little dry on me. Always work wet when you're working with the mannequin. And what we're going to do now is we're going to actually turn to the side. So I want you to lift your mannequins and turn them to the side. And what we're going to do is we're going to bring this side down, and we're going to take a small piece, as we did earlier, right from the side there. And I'm going to use that as my longest guide. Now, don't do this and cut the corner off. You need to come to the longest point of this hair length. Use that as your reference. And now cut the hair on a horizontal towards the front. We're going to do the same thing. We're going to lift up our mannequin. Because you're working on a station where you cannot move around the client, we're going to bring this side down. Again, using the hair comb like this, turning the comb, following down. You notice that I've changed, that I'm following this with my scissors downward. And I'm going to now continue that straight horizontal line right through to the front. I'm going to check lengths. Once I'm satisfied with that, we'll move on in the haircut. The next section is going to be our last subsection. It's going to go from the center of the crown to the receding area. So it'll break this top section into two, but it'll be our last subsection that we're going to do in this haircut. And the way we're going to do it is we're going to again take this haircut, comb the hair in the direction of the part, go from the center of the crown, that's where the spiral is, and we're going to go right into the receding area of this haircut. The receding area, even on a man or a woman, is the curvature inward on their head when we do that. We're going to clip this up out of our way, get it out of our way, pin it up. Make sure you could see your subsection, split that side. Notice how I'm behind the ear, just like I was when I first took my subsection. I'm going to do the same thing on the other side for you, and then we'll cut the rest of this haircut. Another trick that I'd like to share with you guys, and I know this is your very first haircut, but I'm trying to get as much information to you guys as I possibly can in this haircut. And one of the things someone taught me a long time ago is if you're unsure if you're balanced with your haircut or your subsections on both sides of the head, what you simply do is you put your fingers at the end of your parting right there and look at your fingers. And if your fingers are level, that means your partings are level. So again, rather than going like this and then like this and then back again to see if they're even, make sure, just put your two fingers on the end of the parts, check it, see if they're even. If they are, look at your fingers. It's much easier to see your fingers than the parting, and we're ready to rock and roll. So now that I have my sides separated like I should, I'm going to take this next to last subsection. We're going to bring it down to you right here. I'm going to again separate the back from the two sides. And there we go. Bring this hair down. Want it to fall down as natural as possible. Bring it down to my guide. Bring this hair back behind the ear, just like we've done this whole time. Do not follow around the head. We have hardly any hair coming off here. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to finish this side for the prior to the last section. Bring this down, horizontal, look for your guide underneath. Once it disappears at the backbone of the comb, stop your fingers. Your guideline should be right there. And I'm going to continue this line through the side. I'm going to do the same thing for you on the other side. Again, separating this side from that. Bringing this hair down as natural as we possibly can. But again, remember, we're cheating on this haircut. We're bringing it to the back, horizontal. Bring this here. Behind the ear, make sure you have a flat surface here. Find that guideline, continue that line. Last but not least, here's the side. Bring it down. Follow to your guide. Take the hair off. Check your lengths, and when you feel comfortable, drop the rest of this haircut. Beautiful. And we will now finish up the rest of this haircut. But we will follow the same procedures as we did earlier, meaning I'm going to make sure that when I drop this side, I'm going to comb the hair with my large teeth of my comb. I'm going to just keep it as natural as I can, but then I'm going to separate behind that ear, just like we've been this whole time, and separate my back from my front. And then front will be cut separate from the back. And I will then do the same thing on this side, let the hair fall naturally as best I can. Now, from the highest point to just behind that ear, that's my front, that's my back. Okay, so just as we've been doing throughout this entire haircut, we're going to separate the back. Again, notice that I'm using the large teeth of my comb. I want this hair to fall as natural as possible. And I'm going to just now bring it down to my one length, making sure I have a straight line from this side to that side. Check if anything comes over my line and cut it. Here behind the ear, I still want to follow my procedure to make sure there's a straight line behind that ear. Check if there's anything to cut on my guideline. If there's nothing to cut, move on with the haircut. And what we're going to do now is we're going to bring that side down. As we have in the past, we're going to bring this side down, again, just following to see our guideline. Cut that horizontal line right like that. And now at the side here, I want you to continue to bring this to the side. Do not follow around the front of the face. Bring this to the side. And I know that that will increase the length slightly, but that's what we want to do. We want to keep the horizontal continuing through the side. So bring this down like this. Very light tension. Don't pull on the hair and just finish up that haircut. Going to do the same thing for you on the other side. Again, following the same procedure we've been doing throughout this haircut. This is our last part of our haircut, and then we're all done. So, here's my back, here's my side. Going to bring this back down as far as I can naturally, as best I can naturally. Keep that vertical line through the back so I know I'm not shifting. Check your line, see if anything comes off. Same as the other side, nothing coming off. Continue with this line, check, nothing coming off. Move to your side, pick up your mannequin, move it to the side, and now let's go into the side area here. Follow your line, there it is, and bring this to the side. Do not go around the head, bring it to the side here. Keep the minimum amount of tension. Find your guideline, continue that line throughout. At this point, we're going to now complete this. This haircut is now considered complete. We're going to do a blowout for you, and we're going to tuck this hair under and check the one length or horizontal line that we've created. Remember, gang, when you do a horizontal on a rounded surface, it's very easy for the haircut to accidentally go round. We want to keep the corners by cutting the hair like this, then going to the side and cutting the hair like that. That creates the corners that we need for a horizontal haircut. See you in a little bit. Okay, everybody, so here's the finished version of your one-length horizontal haircut. When you talk about putting a true one length on it, as you could see from the profile view, how horizontal this is, and then of course from the back view, again, a nice solid one-length haircut. This is called a square line bob, is another common term for it, and things like that, depending on the length. A bob would never be below the shoulders, it would always be above the shoulders, but as you can see, by following this procedure, you can create a beautiful horizontal one-length haircut. So that's our session for today. I hope you enjoyed it. This is the first haircut you're going to create here at Capri. I hope you all enjoyed the presentation and have a great night.